welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica and I live in Los Angeles. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about the spontaneous decision we made to move to Los Angeles. I guess it was kind of spontaneous, but let me just start telling the story because it's kind of weird. Ever since I was younger, I knew I wanted to be an actor. I loved the idea of Los Angeles, like it just seemed so amazing. So I knew like one day I would be in LA. When I was 18, I officially started studying acting and being part of a conservatory and taking classes, kind of under the radar, like no one knew I was doing that, but I did it for about 6 years without people knowing. And I had told myself I wanted to be in LA by the time I was 21. I ended up getting sick with my skin. If y'all have seen my eczema videos, they're wonderful, wonderful time period for me. So I ended up having to move home and all, yada yada. Anyway, my fiance and I were living in my hometown because I was very sick and he was taking care of me. And, you know, we had a pretty decent life there. You know, he had a really good job and he had a new job offer. So they were negotiating that was really, really great financially, and just he got to do what he wanted to do, work with great people and all this stuff. But for me personally, I'm a creative person. I want to be an actor. I want to do all these different things. And being in a small town in Texas doesn't really allow for much creativity. So I knew that I wanted to be in LA. Around this time period, my grandpa was, you know, slowly just becoming more and more sick, and we knew he wasn't going to live much longer. And that comes in later. That's not part of the main thing. Around this time period, I was also crying a lot. I was very sad. Like, I just wasn't inspired. It was almost like my heart and like my soul knew I wasn't made for Texas. And I love Texas. I love the people of Texas so much, but I just knew that I had bigger things to do. Not bigger than Texas is huge, but I just mean for me personally, like I wasn't thriving in Texas. I was just so incredibly sad, and I knew there was a lot I was missing out on in other parts of the world, and I wasn't going to waste my life away just staying in the city I was born in just because I was born there. And so my fiance and I sat down. We moved here officially like the first week of October, whatever year it was, 2015, 2016. We moved here officially in October, but we had talked about in like August or September, we had talked about possibly coming. Like I said, around that time I was crying all the time, and in one of the times I broke down, I told my fiance, like, I can't be here anymore. Like, I need to be in California. I can't be in Texas. I can't do it anymore. And he said, okay, we'll align our ducks in a row, we'll figure it out, and in a year from now, we'll move to LA. And I was like, okay, like at least we got that, but a lot can happen in a year. And so, without telling him, when I would go to work, because I worked at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, and without telling him, I would be applying to jobs in LA. During this time period, social media marketing was brand new. There weren't like a ton of job opportunities for social media managers, but I knew I could probably do something like that because I love to be creative and I'm very strategically minded. I love analytics and all that fun stuff. So I kind of pitched myself to these brands as a social media manager, and I had like no experience on my resume, but I crossed my fingers, and all of a sudden I started getting interest. And in my hometown, with jobs, like it was hard for me to get a great job. Like I didn't have a college degree. There were creative jobs. Jobs there didn't pay very much. So I wasn't really getting phone calls. And if I was, it was for like a really like small level job. And here I was in Texas getting calls for like really well salary paying jobs, like with big brands. And I was like that's very exciting whenever you're in a small town. Now after being here for years, it's pretty common because so many big brands are here, but like being from a small town and getting those phone calls, I remember I was so excited, and I eventually told my fiance, and I said, you know, I'm getting these calls for interviews, but I want to go to take the interviews. That was a fun conversation. And so we didn't have a ton of money. Around that time, my dog had just had puppies, and before I get any hate for breeding my dog is a full breed corgi, and they are a dying breed, so it's not like the most horrible thing in the world to breed your corgi because you're trying to keep the breed alive, and they're very, very hard to find, which makes the price of them higher up, like to adopt one. So we did have puppies at that time, and we had just like, we were getting rid of all of the puppies, and so we had a little bit of extra money that we normally wouldn't have had. And so we booked a flight to go to LA for a week to go to these interviews. This was so incredibly spontaneous. Like at the end of August, I was, you know, applying online to these different jobs. Around September, I was getting all these phone calls. I was freaking out. So I knew that, you know, we had to get up and go. In September, we came out to LA for a week just spontaneously, and at that time period, it wasn't like us to travel or fly anywhere. Like nowadays we fly all over, but back then we never traveled. So it was a big deal. And so we both did a couple of different interviews with different brands. During that time, I never got a job offer. I just, had my foot in the door, talked to different people, and realized how many opportunities are here, because there are millions and millions of opportunities here. It's not like when you're trying to move to like a certain small town and it's like you have to have a job lined up. But at the time, we were still in that mindset, I guess, so it was a huge risk for us to move. That week that we were in LA, after doing interviews, we also toured apartments and just kind of got to know the city. Everyone I know in LA had always said, like, you want to live as close to West Hollywood and Hollywood as possible because that's where everything's at. And by the way, that is total crap, because you don't have to. We live like way further away, and we have like the space, and we have this big house. But if we, not big, huge house, but like we have a nice house. And if we would have paid this much in West Hollywood, we would have a shack. Like we would literally have the tiniest 1-bedroom or studio apartment. So it's totally worth it in my opinion if you're thinking about moving to LA. You don't have to be in West Hollywood, that is crap. But at that time, that's what we thought. During that time that I was in LA touring everything and like looking around, my grandpa did unfortunately pass. So we went back for the funeral, and I think this also helped me get over that time period, because I don't do well with death or anything like that. I don't like talking about it. I'm surprised I'm doing it right now. I just don't like it. During that time period, I was just so busy adjusting to living here after we moved that I just didn't have time to like, grieve and freak out. Like I think if I would have lived in my hometown, I would have had a total big catastrophe meltdown. Fortunately, I think God's timing is so incredibly important, and I was able to move past all of this stuff in a very healthy way, and it wasn't like a huge catastrophe. So after the week of touring in LA, we went back to Texas for an additional 2 or 3 days, and we didn't have anything packed. We fortunately were in our lease for over a year, so we were going month to month. So we were able to just cancel our lease at the end of that month. But we had like 2 or 3 days to pack up our entire house. It's a big deal to move from South Texas to California. Luckily, we had a friend in New Mexico, so we got to stay with him on our drive over. It was just like a huge mess, and it happened so fast. Also, our moving truck broke down, which was fabulous, but that time period was just so crazy looking back on it. Like, I can't believe we did that. And this all happened in just a few weeks, like less than a month or so, I think was the total time, because, I just applied to jobs. We toured LA for a week. We came back, and in 2 or 3 days, we moved, and we also had to go to my grandfather's funeral because he had passed while we were here in LA. So it's just so many different things went so fast, and I'm so grateful for our intuition and believing in God, because I kept praying and asking God, if this is meant to be, do it seamlessly. Like, if something is meant to be in your life and God is putting it there for a reason, it's going to be seamless. There's not going to be a ton of like friction, and it's not going to be really impossible to do. And it's completely true in this case. Like, it was very seamless, but it was terrifying to trust God in this moment, because we were leaving everything behind. We had a secure past. We didn't have any jobs lined up, locked in, or anything. We just had a little bit of money from, the puppies and what we had in savings, which was really nothing, essentially. But, it ended up working out, and we risked everything for this life, and thank God we did. I mean, we live in this beautiful home. Like, we get to do the coolest things that I would have never dreamed of doing, and I just encourage anyone that is watching this, that if there is a risk you want to take it, but don't be dumb about it, and don't not include God or whatever you believe in. If you believe in the universe, and God, but whatever you believe in, just include them as well in your decision-making process, because it will make it so much more seamlessly. I mean, imagine if I actually came here at 21 like I wanted to come. I would have never met my fiance. I would have been miserable. Like, just this whole thing would have been a nightmare doing it alone, because it's already been really difficult. But having my fiance here with me has we get to like support each other, and like we pick up each other when we're down. We challenge each other to be better and to dream bigger and to push with our projects and think of bigger things outside the box and just take over the world, basically. And I love him so much for that, because I honestly don't think I could have done this with any other person on the world, because he just is a big thinker like me, and even when I struggle, he is always there, and I'm always there for him when he struggles too. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this random story about how we made it to LA. I hope this story inspires y'all to think big and do big things as well. It has been about almost 2.5 years since we've lived in LA, and whew, what a journey it has been. But if y'all have any questions about our journey here, or you need any tips or help with any big decisions you're having in your life, please be sure to let me know. You can DM me on Instagram if you have like a longer story or something you need to talk about. My username is @meetjessicamarie. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you want to stay tuned for more of the madness that is my life in Los Angeles. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!